Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an extraordinary person with us. We're going to be talking about a new generation of leaders in the person of Vance Wyatt. He's a Lake County Commissioner of District 14. Greetings, Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Brooks.
We're very happy that you have taken time again from your busy schedule. We just love to have you on the program. And this to update not only District 14, but the whole county about, what is going on in the county. I think it's very, very important. And I think it's extraordinary for that you, even though you're only going to be serving until, November 30?
November 30th of this year.
November 30th?
Yes.
You're still a commissioner.
Absolutely.
And you're willing to come back and tell update our listening audience about what's going on, because a lot of us don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what is going on within their county government. It's a great way to get our message out and explain to people what their government is doing for them.
Now, on the county board, they have access to media to let the people know. Is that weekly or?
So we do have Lake County TV. That is our communications arm of or department for the county. They typically handle a lot of our newsletters. They draft our newsletters, and then we go in there and manually change it. I typically will go in there, and if I don't like something, I'll change it myself. Some other commissioners may not do that, but that's just what I do. Some commissioners actually write a short message or blurb to their residents that are in their district. And then our communication staff also does a lot of our different TV shows that we have. Chairman Lawler of the board, he has his Dirty Job show that he has on there. And then each of the county commissioners has their intro, in a sense, an introductory video about themselves and about their district. And that's something that's available on the website along with our county TV channel that we have.
So it's nothing like keeping your district and the county informed.
Absolutely.
Informed county is when they can know what's going on, then they know how to vote.
Absolutely. That is true.
When the time comes to vote, But tell us what has been, about yourself though, again, for those that have not seen the show before, we talk about training young men, young women, to take over, when the time comes. But I guess when the time comes, there are those that are elderly just don't want to give up the seat. How can we train others for positions, and we don't want to give it up ourselves? But you are willing to take over a seat that had been vacant. But tell us, I guess, were you aggressive, ready to go? Tell us, our listening audience, how prepared you were to take the seat.
Sure. So in my 9-to-5 job, outside of being in politics, I work as a financial analyst with CVS Health. I deal with about $1.7 billion worth of financial transactions throughout the annual year.
Wow.
So I have a very vast experience in regards to finance, which is about 3 times the size of the entire county's budget is what I deal with on a daily basis. And then outside, and then more on the political side, I have experience serving on the North Chicago Library Board for 6 years and served as the board treasurer. And then I also served as a commissioner for the Falls Park District and board president for 2 years while I was there. And then outside of, from my education standpoint, I of course graduated from North Chicago High School, proud class of 2008, and then went off and got my bachelor's degree from National University in Management, a minor in public policy. And then in 2017, right before getting on the county board, I had graduated with my MBA in finance from Concordia University. So I have a very, very wide and in-depth background.
Well, tell our listening audience then, for those that say he's too young, what do they mean by he's too young?
Unfortunately, that is something that a lot of individuals that are young face when they try to get into politics, because of the fact that you haven't lived enough on this earth, in a sense. Is what they typically say, and really it's really ludicrous if you think about it, because of the simple fact that no one has experience to be a county commissioner or whatever position that you're going to hold until you actually hold that position. That's the only way you're going to actually get the experience to be able to be effective or to actually do that job, is until you get in that role. No one in this world has ever, we have President Obama. That was a big complaint that John McCain had against Barack Obama. Well, Barack Obama nor did John McCain had ever been president prior to that to the 2008 election. So, you really don't get that experience of being in that role until you get to that position, and even then, times change. Something that happened in the 1990s. We didn't have cell phones readily available that we do today. Almost everyone has a cell phone today. Even looking at computers, most people don't even use a traditional desktop computer or even a laptop now. They use their cell phone or iPad. So times have changed, and you have to move forward with those times. And even with your show, you're moving to online and YouTube. There was one point in time where it was only cable. You have to be able to evolve and grow with the times. So.
Yes, when I started, we had tapes.
Yeah.
At the radio station, and of course the tapes evolved into we have DVDs now, and there's something in the process of replacing DVDs.
Yeah.
Now
so they have Blu-ray, and then now the big thing is streaming. Where you don't even need a physical imprint of the actual the media anymore, where it's all online.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We just reflect just a second about former President Obama. He served a short time in the Senate, I guess, in the state, and then he was moved up to some things happened where it gave him an opportunity to move up to run for the Senate in the Congress. And he became one of the greatest senators that we've had, and also one of the greatest presidents. He rated among the top presidents.
Absolutely.
In the country. So we can just discard that youth, and that's the reason I had you for a minute to reflect upon your background.
Yeah.
You have more financial experience than most of the county board commissioners serving now.
Even you can look at my resume compared to every other county commissioner up there.
Okay.
I have exactly either same in par, even though I'm 27 and most of them are in their 40s and 50s, if not higher, more experience in some of them. So that's just a testament of the community that I'm from, that we really instilled education and also a hard work drive into myself to grow me or help grow me up into the man that I am today.
I think that's one of the reasons they selected you, because there's 21 board, but there were 20.
Yes.
You're the 21st. That unanimously agreed that you should serve.
Absolutely, it was a Democrat. It was actually bipartisan. How often do you get bipartisan? You look at Springfield or even D.C. How often do you get a bipartisan agreement on something? And there was a bipartisan agreement to appoint me to that board, and then I've been serving there for the last 10 months now, and I will continue to serve for the next 7 months. And I think
that's fantastic.
I'm going to continue to fight as hard as I did before the election, and continue fighting forward now.
Well, tell us about commissioners. Now, you're a Lake County Board Commissioner and also a Lake County Forest Preserve Commissioner, too.
Correct. So there's two different sides. So we have the Forest Preserve, and then we have the county side.
Okay.
So the county portion of our job consists of law and judicial issues such as the sheriff's office, the coroner's office, the 19th Circuit Courts. You have the state's attorney, the public defender's office, those type of things, health department included as well. And then on the Forest Preserve side, of course, you have the Greenbelt Cultural Center, which is in the 14th District. You have Nippersink, you have Ryerson. Those are different ones throughout the county. And Independence Grove, which is the biggest one that we have in all of Lake County. So it's kind of like a cross between being a park commissioner and an alderman at the same time in a way, mixed in with a little bit of what you do as a state rep, because we have separation of powers. We have a court, so we have the judicial branch, we have the legislative branch, which is the county board, and then you have the executive. Those are the countywide elected officials. So it's kind of similar to the kind of being a state, but also being local, like a municipal government, because a lot of issues that we deal with still pertains to roads. For instance, we have Lake County roads such as Pulaski, Martin Luther King, Greenleaf, that fall within the 14th district, which it's incumbent on me to make sure we don't have potholes there and making sure that the streets are clean in a timely fashion, just like your alderman would. But at the same time, making sure that our courts are have the money to be able to move cases along, especially when you're dealing with foreclosures or divorce, as an example. That's something that also goes through Lake County's jail. And even if you're going to be evicted from your house, those are all proceedings that happen at our court system, and we have to work collaboratively with the elected judges that we have here in Lake County.
Speaking of potholes, your district is the 14th district.
Correct.
And we have 14th Street.
Yes.
Full of potholes.
Yes.
Now,
So
tell us the uniqueness of that. Does it belong to North Chicago or belong to the county? And when will the improvements be made there?
So it is going to be fully a county road. So right now it's just the Pulaski part. So there's Kashmir, Pulaski, and 14th Street. It's really the same street, but they have different names. Okay. So 14th Street, half of it was Waukegan, the other half was North Chicago's property. Okay. And then as you get down to the other side of Jackson, both sides are all North Chicago. So that part is still currently going to maintain to be a city-owned street. Okay. But everything from Jackson up to Green Bay Road will become a county road. Okay. And once that has been completed, the entire road will be completely redone. So the county, since I've been there now, we've been making purchases of land on both sides of the street in order to make the enhancements. So for instance, we're going to have bike lanes along there. There will be the dreaded turnabout that no one really wants at 14th and Dugdale. Okay. And then there's going to be a number of different of enhancements in regards to culverts underneath the street, the pipes that run under the water pipes that run underneath the street to both North Chicago and Waukegan to make sure that our infrastructure is maintained. The hindrance that we've had so far is the Marion Jones project. As that's being rebuilt, we don't want to rebuild the road, and it gets torn up by us building the Marion Jones projects with trucks going in and out of there. So there is going to be some work that's going to start next year. Down from Lewis down to Jackson Street.
Next year.
Next year, yes. It's slated. It was originally going to be 2017, okay. But because of the Marion Jones project, there were so many delays to it. It got pushed back. Okay. So this year they're going to really start doing a lot more work over at Marion Jones. So that's why no work is being done this year. But starting next year, you're going to start to see from Lewis down to Jackson Street be repaired, and then from Lewis all the way up to Green Bay Road will be completed after Marion Jones is completed in 2019.
If anyone wants to drive by 14th and Dugdale, you will see a city within a city. It's a beautiful project. Yeah. But so how many residents?
So it's about 200 residents that are going to be going on over there. So that'll be more students that are going to be going back into the North Chicago School District. Okay. Of course, when it was torn down, the biggest issue with that was the loss of revenue for our school district. And our school district has been suffering for many years because of the fact that we have declining population within the city, and also we have a shrinking tax base as well. That will actually increase the amount of students here, so the per capita grant that we receive from the federal government will increase due to, or I should say impact aid grant that we receive will go up because we'll have more students. The other thing that the state has been kicking in a little bit more money. The state put in about $2 million additionally into North Chicago School District. And then now with the progressive income tax that's being proposed, there may be additional funds that will be available to the North Chicago School District. Of course, there's other financial issues that go on to the schools, from past debts that they have that need to be corrected. But North Chicago's looking to get a brand new middle school that AbbVie's going to be building on behalf of the North Chicago School District. A brand new middle.
AbbVie
Yes.
is going to build a new middle school.
Yes. So at the North Chicago,
North Chicago
Chamber.
will have control, I guess.
Yes, it will be controlled by the school district.
That is
So they're going to build it on behalf of the residents of North Chicago. Just like as they put in $3 million into our library, which we have the recording studio, a STEM lab. We also have a business center that's named in honor of Audrey Nixon, along with a number of new meeting rooms. They put a lot of money there. And then when I was at the Park District, I was looking at trying to get them to finally fix our pool because the Park District didn't have the funds to fix the pool. But, I'm hopeful with the new park board that they're going to be really trying to push that initiative, trying to get a swimming pool after the school's built. But, you can't put too much on them at once. So.
Right. So people can be rejoiced. The schools in North Chicago will not close.
No.
It will expand.
Yes.
If any. With the Learn Charter School, people were worried about whether the schools would be closing or not.
Yeah, of course. Whenever you have a private company coming in and taking kids out of the traditional system, people are going to fear that eventually that's going to happen to all the schools. North Chicago has suffered for a number of years. I remember when our debt or deficit was only about $1 million. And now I was 2 years old at that time, to give you context of how long ago this was. And they tried to close the schools down, and then there was a change of the state law so that North Chicago schools can't close. But we're going to need to see some of our debts to be retired, and the state needs to step up before they actually leave the community. Because after 10 years, they're going to revert control back to the school district or to the actual citizen. So we would have an elected school board again.
Like about maybe 3 more years ago.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 more years to go.
Okay.
And once that happens, what's going to happen to that the multi-million dollars worth of debt that we have or have incurred before? Ideally they should wipe it all out, ideally. But that may not happen because the state has $120 billion worth of back debt, or total legacy costs that they have that they're going to have to pay off via pensions and debts and unpaid bills. But it's still a small drop in of water for them with the size of debt that they have. And they took over our schools. They should treat us the same as they would do any other community throughout the state of Illinois.
Another comment I'd like to make before we go further is the real estate tax problem. The real estate, the amount compared to North Chicago real estate, and that's what the schools are guided by as far as the school money is coming from the state. So
the new formula that they had was based on the lower amount. So if the value of your properties, so property taxes, is low, you're going to get more money from the state.
Okay.
But that still doesn't make we're not comparable to what Lake Bluff, Lake Forest gets. As an example, we can take my district, the 14th district versus the 13th district.
Okay.
The 13th district value of their homes is $1.2 billion.
$1.2 billion.
Yeah, $1.2 billion. And the homes in my district, which also does include part of Lake Bluff, a little bit of Gurnee, all of Park City. So, it has a little bit of other areas that have a little bit more wealth in them. And that's only $185 million. Just to give you a difference.
$185 million.
Yes.
Compared to south of us, $1.2 billion.
Yes. There's a big difference, isn't it? That just shows, the disparity that we have in our county.
Yeah.
Personally, my personal opinion in regards to what we should do to schools is to go to our county system.
Yeah.
Where instead of us being taxed on $185 million or the $1.2 billion that's in the district south of us,
okay,
let's tax based on the entire county. That's $26.9 billion of just properties that we can tax within the entire county. That to me would actually save money for residents in North Chicago, in Waukegan, Park City, and even in Gurnee, and even portions of Lake Bluff that I represent. You're going to see your property tax bill go from, say, 9%, what you pay to the school district in North Chicago, down to maybe 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
So almost cutting it in half, ideally.
Well, positive things appear to be happening is the Navy Museum. Is that an ongoing thing?
Yes. So the county board just recently approved at the last, so that was 2 months ago, we approved our agreement with the city of North Chicago and the developer, where we are not going to charge taxes to there, or the full amount. So we're going to, in a sense, rebate 90% of the tax back, and they'll pay 10%. So right now we get 0. So what we're doing is, with this agreement, we will get 10% for the life of the TIF, which was that's currently there.
Yeah.
So it's about 10 years or 10 to 12 years, I think, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's about 10 or 12 years that's left on the TIF. We'll get 10% for that time period, and as it gets closer to that end date, we're going to slowly get like 10 or 20% more until we get to 100% of the value of that property, which means there'll be more money going into the schools, more money going into the library, the parks, and the city, along with the sales tax as well that will go to the city, that will help alleviate some of the cost of the need to increase property taxes.
Needs that you mentioned of the citizens within the District 14. Grocery store, now it's nice to have the museum and all the Lake County Housing Authority, and we got tax benefits and so forth. But is it necessary to have a grocery store? This is what most of this
Absolutely, we need a grocery store.
Asking.
I mean, I've lived in North Chicago the majority of my life, except for when I went off to college. We do not have a grocery store. Even some areas on the south and west side where you see food deserts, they have grocery stores now. But still, in North Chicago, we have yet to get a grocery store. It's going on 15, almost 20, somewhere between 15 and 20 years since we've actually had a full-fledged grocery store here in our community. So since I've been a county commissioner, one thing I've been working on is making sure that we have I'm working with a non-for-profit to bring in a co-op grocery store into the North Chicago. It won't be a big grocery store, but it'll be something small. And that way we'll have fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown within the community that are going to be resold to people that live here. And there'll be a different way of getting food to people, similar to Top Box, but it'll be an actual grocery store that you go into. You can purchase goods and then actually leave, go right back. And one of the locations I was looking for is in the 2nd Ward of North Chicago, which is which is the older part of town, where right down the street from my grandmother's house, there's a few vacant buildings there, and converting one of the old vacant buildings into a grocery store. Is it full-fledged to the point what we need, like a Walmart or anything, or like a Target or something like that, or Joe Osco? No, but it is a step in the right direction. And then when the city goes to try to do economic development and try to entice a grocery store, and we can show that we have the small co-op that's actually booming, their business is booming, they're even expanding, that's a good way for the city to actually leverage, to try to bring in a full-fledged grocery store into our community. I keep hearing, that when the city goes to try to get a grocery store, well, you don't have the tax base for it. You don't have the adjusted gross income to support a grocery store. But if we can show by having a non-for-profit having one in here, it would eliminate that excuse that we receive.
Yeah, with North Chicago, with a population of 32,574, it probably would not attract a full-fledged chain store. Like, for instance, when I came into the area, there was a Kroger store on Old 15th and Sheridan Road. Yeah. There's a Piggly Wiggly on 14th Street, A&P 10th Street, Jewel on 14th Street. Full-fledged. But
I don't think our population's really the issue.
Okay.
You could just look. So we can take 2 different communities in the district. You have Park City, which is in the district. I have 100% of Park City. Okay. It's about 700,000, about 700 to 800,000 residents. Or I'm sorry, 7,000 to 8,000 residents. They have a grocery store.
Yeah.
They have Aldi's. Okay. You take Lake Bluff. They have 5,700 residents. They have a Target, and then they have a Heinz restaurant or grocery store in there as well.
Amazing.
They have 2 grocery stores in their town. Yet we don't have one. Both of those towns are smaller than ours.
Amazing.
We are 2 to 3 times their size, and yet we don't even have one grocery store. And it's not like we're asking for much. We're just asking for one grocery store to be in our community to serve the residents, so you don't have to keep driving to the next town over to just get something as simple as a bottle of milk or something like that.
Well, you talked about new generation of leaders.
Yes.
Now maybe that's what we need. We speak about committees and so forth, but we get the leaders in there that can make things happen.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go places. Well, let's go ahead to the court expansion. Tell us about that. People look at that, they built another jail, expanding the jail.
So the only thing that's going to be in that facility that's remotely close to being a jail are holding cells for when people are going to be going into court. That's it. That's all. And it's a $120 million project that is slated to open this August. So this August, the most of the actual jail or the court will be open. There is some transportation from the jail over to the courthouse that will not be completed. That will be completed over the next year or so. So in 2019, that's slated to be completed. So the full project will be completed by 2020. That's most of those things are outside of the courthouse itself, but the main courthouse tower will be completed and will be open this year.
Wow.
And that's I forgot how many courtrooms. I want to say it's 15 new courtrooms that we'll have over there. And the problem, and the reason why we needed it, and most people are saying, well, you're building this new courthouse, and what you're trying to do is just lock up more people. The reason it's being built in the first place is because the state is requiring the county to do it. So the state said you have to build a new courthouse because you don't have enough courtrooms.
Okay.
Well, and then it's like, well, they're going to give us any money. And they said no. You got to go build it yourself. And that's the thing. So a lot of those unfunded mandate from the state, which is very common. Park City dealt with it with their pensions this year. They had a significant increase in their property tax bill because of the fact that the state put an unfunded mandate on them. And it's just, unfortunately, that's what the state does. And then we on the local level, from the county down to something as simple as a library or park district, we have to deal with those ramifications and pay for it somehow. Sometimes it means cuts, or sometimes we have to pull in, squeeze some pennies together and, build a brand new courthouse. But that courthouse is something that's needed. Our county boardroom, where we actually meet as a county board members, is used as a courtroom when we're not meeting, and along with our committee rooms that we have committee meetings in. Those are used as courtrooms when we don't have committee meetings. So there is a need for it. We just have to, adapt and actually grow. So, and that's what we're doing.
I like all during your comments, you always say we. It's not Vance Wyatt doing it. Whatever happens, it's we as the county board, which is 21 members, right? Yep. But you never go out even when you were campaigning saying what I did. And I think you have to be congratulated on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because
I think people know it, but to hear you say it, it shows that you're not selfish.
Yeah. And I don't vote on I don't have 21 votes. I can't just vote for everything on my own. So, we all have to play our part in the process and actually get things done to improve the lives of every resident. Because what my needs and our needs here in the 14th district is completely different than the 17th. And I have to be responsive and, respective to my representatives that serve throughout the rest of the county that, their needs are completely different. They may be more concerned about, for instance, in Gurnee, I have a resident that is concerned about puppy mills. It is, in North Chicago portion of the community, it may not, or of the district, it may not be as important to the residents there. But to some people, that is very pressing to them. And it's important on us to make sure we are responsive and actually understand the issues and make sure we address those for all of our residents.
Well, tell us, did you inherit the same committees that the late Audrey Nixon had?
So I did inherit all of her committees. So I served.
Except the chairman's, I guess.
Except for the chairmanships,
she was chairman of the Judiciary Committee.
Yes. So the Law and Judicial Committee, I'm a member of that committee. I'm not the chairman of it.
You can't walk in.
I also serve on Ethics and Oversight. I serve on the Rules Committee. I also serve on the Public Building Commission, which is not something that Ms. Nixon served on, along with the Lake County Government Reform Implementation Committee, which I am the vice chairman of that committee. And then on the Forest Preserve side, I serve on the Rules Committee and also the Operations Committee. And then I did forget, on the county side, I also serve on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee as well, which is the committee that we look to how we can improve diversity and inclusion within the county government. So one thing I've been pushing for within our HR, when we had the last committee meeting, when we met with our director of HR and deputy director to make sure that we explain or get to the kids at an earlier age. So traditionally, they have been going after kids that are only in high school. But unfortunately, with North Chicago and Waukegan, you may have some kids that fall behind earlier on before that. So they're falling behind in middle school. So how do we attract those kids at an earlier age and let them know these are different opportunities that you can go to school for and make a good quality education? For instance, engineering. That is something that's really big with civil engineering. Those are really high-paying jobs. They're specialized, but you need to have math skills. So if we catch them earlier on when they're in middle school, and make sure we can build them up, get them the math training at an earlier age, so when they get to high school, they can actually pass the ACT's math score. So when they get into engineering school, they're not struggling. That's my biggest thing, is trying to make sure that we are practical about how we address our issues and working together to address them. And sometimes we're not going to just be able to stay in our little silo as the county. We're going to have to work a little bit closer with our school districts, with the College of Lake County, and let's find a way that we can actually get these kids, in a sense, move them forward and actually allow them to rebuild the community that they're from.
Okay, now, you mentioned about the huge budget, $500 million?
Yes. So $506 million on the county side and about $75 million on the Forest Preserve side.
Now, what about the budget for the youth programs? What are you doing as far as youth programs in the budget?
So our budget is not. We're not currently in the process of our budget cycle. So our budget actually comes up in November. So we don't start working on the budget until September, October. So as I was bringing up in regards to the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, so each committee, there's not a direct department that it has oversight in. There's multiple departments we have oversight in. So to make sure that we get the necessary funding into those different programs is important. As I just said, we need to get into the middle schools, which means we're going to have to increase our outreach to the school districts, predominantly in North Chicago, Waukegan, Zion, and Round Lake, which has a lot of minority communities, and making sure that our minority students throughout Lake County understand that there's other opportunities than just being a doctor or being a lawyer, but you can be an engineer or there's various different things, accountants or even if you wanted to go into correctional services or judicial services, it's something along those lines. But making sure that they know that those opportunities are out there and how we can work together with the school district to get them into that field.
I mentioned about the youth programs because Daisy's Resource and Development Center work with the organization, I can't call her name, but it's on Genesee and Washington Street. What's the name of the oh boy, but that's what she
Township or
no the county board. She got funds from the county board.
Okay.
Yeah,
under CDBG funding or which fund? There's a number of grants. We have
that's
so many
one.
grants. I forgot. Yeah.
That is a grant, but this is oh boy, I tell you what, the funds came for her.
Workforce development.
Workforce.
Yeah, workforce development.
Well, you're right on top of it.
Yeah, so workforce development.
You see, when you get old like I am, the three things get away from you.
Yeah.
The first thing to go is the memory. I don't remember the other two. And so you came up really right. Workforce development. Funds going into that will help.
Absolutely, and we need to expand that, of course. So workforce development does a lot of different things. One thing is in regards to the youth. So they find summer jobs for the youth. They get a paid salary, and then they work at say the city, the park district, the libraries throughout Lake County. But the other aspect is, say if someone's out of work, they help them find them a job, or if they don't have the skills to take the jobs that are readily available, help them get the training either through local groups or partnerships like at the library. For instance, we have something at North Chicago Library called Learning Express, where you can learn all the various different computer programs at no charge. So that's something that is free if you just live in North Chicago as a resident. Well, we're connecting them better with our libraries and workforce development. So we're not all keep spending the money, for in a sense, for computer programming, where that money can be used to put more kids to work instead. That's just a cost-saving measure that I found that since I've been on the county board, and that's something we're doing this year, and we're looking to do that even going forward and bringing in more libraries and other different non-for-profits so that we're not all replicating the same thing, where we can actually do it more collaboratively so we can actually get a streamline of individuals that are, when they're out of job, so we can get them into a job faster.
Perfect. Very good. Okay, so there it's very important. I was bringing this up because it's very important to have a culture diverse board of commissioners, right?
Yes.
Even though you are the only African American on the.
So there's 2 of us on the board.
Two. I'm sorry.
Yes, 2 of us.
2 of you out of a total of 21, but you can make enough noise, bring up things that to get the other members to realize,
Absolutely.
you know, that we do have another population that are in need of service too.
Absolutely, and then especially with my time or serving on the Law and Judicial Committee, a lot of the individuals that are currently locked up in the jail look just like myself. You know, when I don't have a suit on, I'm wearing jeans, and this is I explain to my fellow commissioners all the time. You know, I have my earrings in and I'm wearing jeans. You know, I look just like the kids that are being arrested and locked up in the jail. You know, I even listen to the same music. You know, a lot of the different things that they, that you would assume that these kids do. I probably do myself in some of my private life, but you know, I've made different choices in my life that have made me go in a different direction. But how do we make those kids? How we can help those kids to make sure they're not going back into the jail, and that way they're actually going to be changing our lives around, being able to go to college and actually get a degree, or if they're going to just go into a trade and learning a trade so that way they can take care of their family. We don't have bad kids. We just have misguided kids. And that's the thing is trying to guide them into the right direction. They're not bad. They're just misguided. Let's get them going in the right direction.
Is it ever discussed at the percentage of misguided kids in the prison?
No. I'm be honest with you. So we are actually having a Law and Judicial Committee meeting next week over at the Depke Center, which is our juvenile detention center, so that we are going to get a tour there. But there has been statistics that I've seen since I've served on the Law and Judicial Committee where a lot of the it's not reflective of the population of the county. Let's just say that. Right. And the thing is, well, how do we work with those communities where these kids are being arrested on how we can change that? One big thing when I was on the park board is trying to make sure that we have programs for our youth. The same when I was at the library, we have a robotics club, we have a game club, just different things that have these kids have an outlet to, so that way they're not bored and are getting in trouble because there's nothing for them to do. We have to make sure that we give them opportunities and also point them in. Sometimes point them in, sometimes give them a kick in the rear to move them in the right direction of possible career paths that they have. That are available to them, that because a lot of people say they want to be a NBA player or a football player, being professional, but only 2% of the kids are actually going to make it. But what's going to be for those 98 kids that don't make it? What are we going to do for them? And that's something we really need to push for. Sure, we have an NFL Super Bowl champion right here from North Chicago, but that is not the story that most of the kids that embark that start off on the Flames football are going to make it all the way up to play in the biggest football game in the world. So.
Yeah, we can go off and name several. We got several NFL.
Yep, NFL, NBA players, track stars. We have a number. We have a lot of athletes that are right here from North Chicago, Waukegan area.
I had a separate program, and I'm going to do that program again. Because we have a minister in the area was on a record-breaking relay team, Reverend John McBride, and so on, right? And we have others that are Nathaniel Lundy, and we got is that Emmanuel Hanna? Yeah. That tried out with the Cleveland Browns, but they're just too small and so forth. But we got many. So, and academically, I guess we can name a few. Yeah,
absolutely. We have tons,
doctors, lawyers, and so forth.
The thing is, we need to make sure that they're coming back to the community and help building it up. That's the biggest thing. We have, if you look at our population from 1990, which is the year I was born, you see it steadily decline in this area. But if you look at Lake County as a whole, you see the opposite. You see a steady increase in population. And how do we change that? How do we counterbalance that and make sure we have a steady increase of people to move into our community that and then have their kids, but also when their kids grow up and they go to college, they come back to the community, actually stay here and actually want to raise their family. That's the thing that I think that we're missing with a lot of our leadership throughout our communities, is making sure those kids are actually growing and wanting to stay here and actually want to help build the community up. Sure, we have a handful of kids that stay, but we need more.
One of the ways that we could encourage them to stay is make jobs for them ourselves. Absolutely. And not look for others to make jobs. Absolutely. For them, right? Yeah,
it's just like what JFK said. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country, and how we can actually, instead of replace the word country, and do that for your community, and what can you do for your community to help build it up. Even if you're just starting a small business, if it's Willie Brooks that has his concession stand up in Zion, just something simple as that, and employing some kids throughout the summer, and then that's their first way or first experience in getting work experience, and now they're able to go start their own business, later down the line, and be able to grow it up to a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar company. Let's look at Amazon. Jeff Bezos, he started his first office was in a library. His first distribution center was in the garage. We have a lot of garages. We have a beautiful library in North Chicago, and even Waukegan. Let's have those be the launching pads for billion-dollar companies right here in our community.
What about Greenbelt Culture Center? I know it once it flourished, but it's not flourishing now.
So one thing we've been talking about since I've been there is working, or at least having the Park District work a little bit more closely with it, since the Park District is closer to that facility than the Libertyville office for the Forest Preserve, to make sure we could try to get it rented out more on a regular basis, and also getting more education programs there. We don't have a lot of education programs or earth sciences really that come outside of the classroom. So that's one thing, looking to work with the Waukegan School District, North Chicago School District, so we can make sure we have more kids that are learning about earth sciences. The library, or at the Park District, our beach, we were looking at having our earth science teacher maintain it. But one thing I was thinking about, why don't we have the Forest Preserve do that, and then actually bring that as an education program for both North Chicago and Waukegan students. That way we can, in a sense, get, I don't want to say free labor, but we get the kids to actually learn about and how to be a scientist in a sense, and actually get real world experience, but also at the same time they're learning and piquing their interest. And so it's a win-win for the entire community.
I mentioned that because the late Audrey Nixon worked so hard. Yeah. And I hate, like I said, I don't mean to give one person that credit, but she and, that was Angela Cowell, there are two of them there.
And Mary Ross too was there too.
Was she there too when they kind of, okay, the three of them there to make the other county board members realize that we should have a facility east. And it worked out so well, and I hate to see it kind of decline,
Absolutely, and we've been making improvements there. So one thing, for instance, when we had I don't know if you came to Gospel Fest this past year. Yeah. Inside of the facility, the air conditioning unit was on the fritz. Let's just say that it was very hot. That's going to happen, But making sure we are maintaining that building, and also how we can get more people in there. So we've been having a lot more events there. Recently, someone actually went to school. They actually got married over there. So there's been more events going on there, but we have to make sure we make the prices more affordable to our community. That's the biggest hindrance I see. That's one thing that I'm bumping my head against right now with some of my fellow board members. We have to make sure that it's affordable to people that live here in the community, and making sure that it's available to them.
What I like too about what the county board is doing is expanding what health facilities branched out all over the county.
Yes. So we have one is in North Chicago. We have our facility. We have always had the one in Waukegan, and then they had
Zion.
There's one in Zion that's reopening. We're getting a brand new one in Zion now. That's going to be opening in August, I do believe. So there's and Round Lake has one, and there's also in collaboration with some of the private sector hospitals and health systems like Advocate, Northwestern, and Condell. We are actually have some even in the schools now. So North Chicago has a health clinic in the actual school itself, in high school now.
Okay.
And it's not directly related with the county, but the county did support the school district and their expansion effort into that clinic, and making sure we're working collaboratively and making sure that we're not just having a random health clinic and then there's no follow-up. But how do we get those kids or adults that are suffering, say, from high blood pressure or diabetes, which is more prevalent in the African American community, but making sure they're getting maintenance for their for that illness from a doctor on a regular basis, and making sure that we're moving in that direction versus just, okay, we found out you have diabetes, well, here's some pills, now go on. Well, how do we actually get you a nutritionist to help you eat better so that you're not dependent on the drugs? Those are the different things that we need to move towards. And we're going to continue to move in that direction. And even now, we've been bringing in the park districts with, for instance, Go North Chicago, Go Waukegan, Go Gurney, with these different programs of getting up and just walking, and just walking 30 minutes a day, can extend your life and actually make you healthier.
Well, let's look at Libertyville. What about the Winchester House? What is happening there?
So that is so there was
many years it's been there.
So it's a government facility, and it is. So there was an article recently about that. So they're going to expire the building eventually here.
It's going to be demolished.
Demolished, and they're going to be building a new facility. The actual management of it is a private corporation now.
Okay.
That was a big fight back in 2011, 2012. That was predates me on the county board, but that is something that the board is going to have to address within the next coming years, of if they're going to continue with that contract or what's going to happen going forward. Of course, there's costs with anything, but I know in Libertyville their biggest issue was having a jail out there. They didn't want to. There was talk about a county jail being built, another county jail on that side of the county being built, and we're not happy about that. Let's just say that, close to where Winchester House is. But we're looking at what facility we can do or build to replace Winchester House now.
So that's a project to work on, at least in the thinking stage.
Yeah, it's in the preliminary stages. It's not down the line where we know this is where we're going to build it and this is how much it's going to be and this is the renderings for it at this time at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have given us a great synopsis of county board operation, I guess, and you could go on and on with many. I guess the water project.
Yeah. So, most water projects are county, or not county, they're city projects. So North Chicago, Waukegan, those are all the city controls the water, along with the sewer. The sewer is actually controlled by North Shore Sanitary District, which is not directly a county. We don't control North Shore Sanitary District. It's completely a different elected position.
Not the taxing body.
Exactly, it's a different taxing body.
Okay, what are some things that you have coming up that you'd like for the citizens to know about?
Sure. So I have on May 19th at 10 a.m. At the North Chicago Public Library. It's going to be Coffee with Your County Board Member. So this is an event that I have on a quarterly basis. One of the ones I have on a quarterly basis, similar to the 3rd and 5th Ward meetings that happen in North Chicago, where you just learn about the different services that are available and different things that the county has been voting on over the last quarter, and what you can expect down the line. And that's also a great time for people, if they're not happy with something, to come and yell at me. Of course, my phone number is available everywhere.
Well, I hope it's readable for everyone to look on the screen there and see. You may want to highlight
so
the time.
So again, it's May 19th, and it's going to be a Saturday morning, 10 a.m., and it's going to be held at the North Chicago Public Library, which is 2100 Argonne Drive, North Chicago, Illinois, 60064. And again, this is a great way to learn about county services. And if you want more information, you can feel free to email me at vwyatt@lakecountyil.gov or call me at 224-419-4509.
Okay. What about community support? I know you're not new in the area, but you're probably more active now in the last year than you've been. Well, I don't know. With the park board and library board, you were active too, right?
I've always been active. I've been completely active for the last 6, 7, 8 years now since I've finished, my degree, and I've been working on trying to improve the community that we live in, and just trying to make a difference here.
I was wondering, why didn't you get more community support than you get? And you went door to door, right?
Door to door, phone calls. Unfortunately, we had a lot of people in the race. We had a 4-way race.
Okay.
And we did have, so we actually did get our final vote totals along with the final numbers in regards to how much money was spent. So our race, the 14th district, which again is one of the poorest districts in the county.
Okay.
We had the second highest or most expensive primary in the entire county, the most expensive Democratic primary in the entire county in the history of it.
Oh.
We spent about $51,000 in total in this race.
Wow.
One of my opponents received $31,000 from one multimillionaire.
One opponent.
One of my opponents received $31,000 directly from one person, which was a multimillionaire that was upset with me because of the fact that when I was a park commissioner, when they was trying to take advantage of our park district, I stood up and did the right thing for our community.
So that got kind of personal.
Yes, I mean it is what it is.
So I know the citizens would like to know just really what happened to an outstanding person like you, and you only lost by maybe
118 votes.
118 votes.
Yeah. And
great job that you were doing.
Thank you. I was outspent. Was it 2.5 times what I spent? Was my next opponent had spent me, the person that beat me.
Yeah.
That's almost $20 to $30 more per vote. Than I spent. So it was, apples and oranges, but for that amount of money and how close it was, it really should have been, for that person to win, it should have been outright, blowout, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
For that amount of money that was spent. But, unfortunately that is how, politics works. But, I'm going to continue to fight forward and making sure that I'm doing the best for our community.
Well, your ultimate goal, I guess you've been encouraged by several prominent people not to give up with all that. We speak about young people, and we try to encourage the youth to really continue functioning, and so we hope that you continue your aspirations.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to divulge them now, but.
Well, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to be doing yet.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm right now. I'm just trying to finish my my term on the county board, and I'll be deciding soon enough. So I also have my Facebook Live Townhall.
Yeah.
This is another event. This is similar to the coffee event. This one is held directly on Facebook. So I sit in front of a camera and explain about, pretty much go over everything I do in the county board, Coffee with your County Board meeting meeting that I have. But this is all on live. This one is going to be June 5th, and it's going to be at 5 p.m. So you're able to eat your dinner and ask me questions over Facebook. So. Oh man, that's
fantastic. Boy, this new technology is something else. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything you want to do, you do it with the technology.
Yep. Yeah, actually, before I came here, my mom wanted some food. I ordered it over my phone, and it was delivered. So didn't even have to call anyone. So.
Right. This is fantastic. Well, one last question. Is there anything you would have emphasized more in your campaign for your seat that you're holding?
I wouldn't say it would be something I would incentivize more so. But I would definitely say that I would do a few things differently with the amount of money that was coming on against me last minute.
Yeah.
With $31,000 coming in, a month and a half before the election, there was, I had to put in about $5,000 of my own money that last quarter just to try to compete.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some things I would have done differently. Whatever my next race would be, I would likely, include those things in that race. So for sure.
Right. Because a person vying for the position, it's not the money, because the salary is not that great, is it?
No, for our district, yes. For our community, it is relatively high. Our total salary is about $46,000.
Okay.
But for some of my colleagues, they make $150,000
yeah.
in their day job. So
right,
for them, it's not that much money. But for our households, the average household income is about $46,000 for our district.
Plus expenses.
Plus expenses. I do not get a pension, and I did not, while I was there, I did not take any health insurance, life insurance, or anything along those lines. I did all that through my full-time job.
Right. Oh, by the way, will you go back to your full-time job now? Or what?
So I still work. I still have my full-time job.
You still have?
I've been doing both. I've been doing both of them. I'm gonna just transition fully back to my full-time job. So. Right.
Okay. Well, this has been. Oh, by the way, people watching this, what are the qualifications to run for offices? Just anyone that's desires to run?
Technically, yes. So if you are in the state of Illinois, you can run for pretty much from county board down. If you're 18 years older, live in the district for either 30 days or 1 year before the election, if there's a district or a ward. And then you just have to get the required number of signatures. That's it, pretty much. And then you're on the ballot. If you're running for state rep or congressman or anything like that, so state rep, state senators, governor, and all of them, you have to be 21 years older and get follow the same criteria as the other ones. And then for congressman or representative, 25 years older, live in the district, and get the required number of signatures. Senators 30, and then presidents 35. So for the most part, it's all much. You just need enough signatures and be old enough to run for the office.
Yeah, of course. Our state reps and state senators, I guess, it's the county board length is tenure is four years.
So we serve 2 4-year terms and 1 2-year term.
Oh.
So you get 2 4-year terms and 1 2-year term. So when there's redistricting, so in 2022, the district boundaries will completely change. So the 14th district we may not live in the 14th, we may live in the 12th or the 13th or the 15th after the redistricting map, and it can completely change.
Okay.
So that does happen, just like with the state rep and state senator districts. Those change every 10 years as well.
Every 10 years.
Yes.
State rep is a 2-year tenure.
They're a 2-year term, and then state senator is 4-year term.
Okay.
And then you have your county board, again, is 4 or 2 years, depending on the election. This one was a 4-year term.
Now that structure, at the level you have a precinct committeeman is at the bottom, is that right?
So that is, so I'm also
That's a hard worker.
I am a precinct committeeman, so that is a party position. I also, so in that role, I serve as the township chairman, and I also serve as just yesterday I was elected vice chairman of the county party as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking from the bottom up with Mr. Vance Wyatt, Lake County Commissioner, and also Forest Preserve Commissioner, District 14. And we hope that you have enjoyed and been benefited by the information that he has promulgated this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.